Adolf BENCZA. When I spoke with Supreme Court Judge Hutanova in Stupava, she told me that it's not very reliable, the antagonistic sensibilization against one's enemies, that people who say bad things about Adolf BENCZA say them because they have a reason to say them. It isn't reliable to its very essence of what it is. The transformation of the unreliability is very essence why the strength of the man has gone to his own homelands all by himself to transform his memory of life and communist occupation after 68 Prague Spring, and transform his birth being a communist painter, a Slavin monument winner of Stalin's honorarium, Brezhnev, President Moscow, Russian Republic, Federated Republics. Adolf BENCZA left to Vienna to his own family, Rudolf BENCZA, Adolf BENCZA, Hubert BENCZA, Johann BENCZA, and Andreas BENCZA, 13 Adolf BENCZA in the Habrienka Otto von Habsburg Empire, pre-World War I, to America. And this history is that it is unreliable. The Kennedys were killed. It's all in a social experiment that our lives were put into. Our lives were put into seeing the duality of tragedy and irony. I once said to Louise Cage when I was entering Columbia University, she asked me what I was interested in, and I said that I was interested in cannibalism. And I meant it as an objective terminology, at best objective and subjective together, not subjective. The problem is that most of these people see the modern transformation through the subjective characterization, and they don't see the bravery and the virtue in transforming the barrier, the wall, in a quadrilateral anatomical, the noble anatomy of modern man, transforming it through self-sacrifice, this unreliable barrier, principally being in contact with the Supreme Court judges and not trying to lecture them, certainly not in their homelands, Serbia, Srebrenica, Kosovo, but in New York or Washington, not lecture them either. Presidential nomenclatura, ambassador regalia, not lecture them because they're empirically unformed and unextorted in the formal categories of forms. When they express their world, they're still existential, intellectual, not devoid of the tragedies formed behind the double-sided coin of the words. Man's life transforms the unreliability to reliability by proving its unreliability, therefore going further and harnessing the tragedio-comedio of satire, irony, modern intellectual expressions, verbi expressi America, into the real reality and the real norsus causus, the cause and the instrument of the operation to cure society of these evil instrumentation. Illness comes from socio-condemnation, and Dante was spoiled by condemnation, being explicated from Italy. Universal states Dante, being techno is very much the soul of BENCZA as a painter, but not poet, painter, ophthalmological universum, challenging at the University of Bologna, Israeli Hippocratic oath of Supreme Court, by virtue of universal ophthalmology, not concilium ophthalogicum, and just autodidact chirurgy. It's stupefaction, it's Apollonian in its executive form, has pragmatics, but it's a tool. Man's virtue is the very essence of Hutanova, saying its unreliability in the experience of the court systems and how mafia and corporate exploits them. It's not in BENCZA's de facto quid pro quo that his life turned into tragedy with his wife. He did not become a prostitute, or he might have been, by pimps who thought they were revolutionaries. They might have been insane, but they were forcing him into these categories and thinking that they know what they're talking about and they're creating them. BENCZA sees the objectification process as the original one. The container of convex concave form does not have a paradox. It is not the Adolf BENCZA paradox to reign and rule over the world. Is to show that paradoxy is to nuclear transformation of the Galeria Neua, the immortality of physics, the archive of modern warfare, to the real cause of anatomical rescue and security's exchange commissions of all worlds, the atlas of new hubris, to transform man's virtue and cogitum imago creatio into exaltation of modern spirit.